Okay, right. Realistically, we should be live, but there's always a slight lag as it connects to Instagram. So if you just give us a moment and we will check. And 1 minute. Okay, let's click on.
Oh, it says live on TikTok.
Does it? How have you seen that?
I just clicked on your profile and it's got a flashy circle with live on it.
Hang on, 1 minute. I can hear myself. Right, hang on a minute.
Oh, I can see us. Hi.
One second. Sorry if you've tuned in and you're just hearing us ramble, but there's always these little problems at the start of our life. And Kirsty reckons she can see us live on TikTok, and I'm not quite sure how because I'm logged in as the channel owner. So I'm just trying to. Where do I go to see that? That's mental. How do I go and see that? I'd have to. Ah, where's that coming back from? Do you know?
What is it? Playback?
Where's that playing back from? Are you playing? Got that playing back?
No.
Hang on. Turn that on. Is it that? One moment. Just 1 minute, guys. Yeah, I've got playback, and I'm not sure where it's coming from because I haven't got anything anywhere. There you go. Got it. Found it. I found the culprit. It's on YouTube. So if you don't know, when we do this live broadcast, we do it on Instagram, YouTube, and today, for the first time, TikTok, which Kirsty is going to have to manage. So, Kirsty, any comments on the TikTok channel? Could you shout out and let us know what they are? Because I can't see.
I'll give it a go.
I can't see unless I can. Yeah, I can't see the live on TikTok myself because I'm like maybe it's because I'm the owner. Oh, hang on. If I go to live, will it show it to me? Oh no, I can't see it at all. I'd have to log in and under a different account, I think, to be able to see it, which is a bit annoying. Unless I have to go to studio and see it that way. No. So if you can answer any comments that come through on TikTok, can you see people on there? Then
I've just commented on there, so I can see my comments, so they'll just come through.
Perfect. And I'll look out for the other chats. So anyway, let's get to it. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to season 2 of the VA Live Lounge. And we're on our second episode of the season. And it's just Kirsty and I today. And we thought we would come along to talk about the must-have tools and systems that VAs need to use, because it's so easy to assume that that everybody will know. But if you're starting out, or even if you're on your journey and you're thinking, geez, there must be a better way, then I think the fact that we've been doing this for so long, we should be able to help you. What do you think, Kirsty? It's a bit of a
it is. And I think you can almost become sort of overwhelmed with systems and tools and things like that. But I certainly didn't know about things like I Love PDF. I didn't know about ChatGPT. I didn't know about Canva. I didn't know about, Trello. I didn't know what a Trello board was. Never come across that before. And I think as your journey goes along, you'll find the right tools for you. Like a lot of people use Asana. A lot of people use Trello. I personally prefer Trello.
Yeah. I think a lot of VAs love Trello, don't they? Okay, so when you started as a VA, what tools did you use to begin with? What was if you had to name the 3 top tools, or what type of tools do you think you need?
I would say you need It depends on what VA what you're doing as a VA. So I started out just doing admin. So mine was mainly Excel spreadsheets,
Sorry,
Dropbox. I used.
1 minute. Kirsty.
What's happened?
I found the TikTok live, so I was just going to mute it, and then I can help you. I can manage that now. Hi everybody.
Okay.
Right, sorry, Kirsty. Please continue.
Yeah, so when I started out, I was more an admin VA. So I would use things like my Excel spreadsheets, Word documents, things like that. So from managing tasks and things like that. But now I've kind of gone along. I've learned new systems and things that are more beneficial to me.
Yeah, I think when we talk about what tools VAs need, the necessary tools, you're going to need something to time your work. So you're going to need a time system because you have to time the work that you're doing. You're going to need a project management tool so you can manage all your tasks. You're going to need a calendar. You're going to need a calendar link for people to book calls with you. You're going to need a finance system to accept payments. I would say those are the top tools that you will need to get going off the ground. When I started, I was using FreshBooks for invoicing. Not necessarily for invoicing. It was for taking the payments and everything like that. But I always had I had a Starling. Bear with me. I've got the dog in here, guys. I'm really sorry. Right, I had a Starling bank account. I had the FreshBooks, which connected to Stripe, so I had all that set up. Luckily, straight away. And I had Asana for my project management, which I must admit, I absolutely loved. And I did use Toggle to begin with as the timing system. But actually, Toggle, when I started to grow into an agency, Toggle didn't work for me anymore because I was reliant on people being honest about everything, and there's no overview on that for me. So I actually had built a custom time portal system, but I'll come back to that. Those were the initial tools I had. What did you use for time management, Kirsty? Or
I think I used Toggle to begin with, but just because I only had one client to begin with, so it was just easier to do it on there. But I think as you go along and your client base grows, it's a lot more difficult to manage with Toggle because. And actually, I did have a client once that questioned my time on it because it did something really odd, like really strange. Sorry, somebody's just trying to call me now. Yeah, so it is great if you've only got one or two clients, you can manage it better. But there are other systems out there where you can integrate timing and invoicing together.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and our system luckily can do that. But do you know of a system that can do? I know some software does. So FreshBooks, actually, you could use it as a timer system, and then it would generate the invoice. So it's actually quite good for that, to be honest with you. But I didn't really use that element of it. Anybody that's just tuning in, today we're talking about the necessary tools and must-haves for VAs. So drop in the comments what you're currently using or what you're stuck on, because one of the problems is it costs a lot of money. If you start adding more and more and more, it can cost a lot. But also one of the deeper problems, I think, is that virtual assistants, they haven't got a lot of money. They've probably started with nothing. They're trying to get clients. And so the temptation is to use free tools. And that's all very well and good until you start to grow. And then you have to switch those tools out because it'll be something like, I'll use HubSpot because it's free, but it's only free until, a certain amount of people are on there or a certain amount of, you want to do automations. And then you have to, pay an expensive amount to go into the next level. I would always say research, look at what you're trying to achieve, how many clients are you hoping to get to, and then look at the tools that you want to use and say, okay, this isn't going to cost me anything now, but what's it going to cost me in 12 months? And actually see the tools and systems that you're going to use as an investment and pay the money and you get the right ones early doors.
That's right. And I think also you can kind of balance it off in terms of like using free tools against what you really need to down the line as well. So if you end up paying up front, at the beginning rather, there are some other free platforms that you can use that you can, you won't have to pay for, like I Love PDF or whatever. And there's obviously free Canva accounts and things like that. But so you can offset it against each other. So it is a good idea to have a good timing system early on. So you can just, rather than switching around, chopping and changing, that you're consistently using all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the reasons we had our time port system built for us, and we've probably spent about £10,000 on it over the last couple of years, is because one of the problems when you start to work with associates is trying to find a system where you can put in a parameter like, this is the client, they're on a 10-hour package, and the clock stops the minute they get to 10 hours. There wasn't a system out there that could do that.
No.
And so we had that built so that that's exactly what happens, because the problem I was facing was the clock would keep running. The clients run out of time 2 hours ago, the VA hasn't noticed, and I still had to pay for that time. Whereas now it's on the associate to keep an eye on that time, and they do get an email notification to say the clock stopped running, you need to stop work. So we've really invested in that, and we've added more and more, and I'm big on automation. So anything that you can use to automate your business, it's the best thing you can do, isn't it? Because it's just going to save you loads and loads of time. I don't use Asana anymore for task management. I think one of the things you do is you end up switching and moving, systems and tools, don't you? What tools did you start with that you don't?
Oh my goodness. I don't think there is that I don't use. I think I've probably just grown. I've probably just grown what, my platforms that I need to use, really, rather than things that I wouldn't probably use. I did used to use Asana, but I couldn't get on with it. We used to use it, didn't we, together?
Yeah, it is really good. I ended up having to pay for it because I used the automation side of it, and it ended up being an absolute monster of a system because we built it out in a way. But like I say, it just got really, really expensive. If you're building teams, one of the things you have to look out for is subscriptions that are asking for a cost per user. That can get really, really expensive. The reason I don't use Asana anymore for that kind of task management is we invested in a new system, didn't we? So I needed, as I was scaling, I was getting overwhelmed by the amount of different tools. I had Calendly, Asana, the time portal system, Trello. It was just so many different things to manage everybody, and I felt like we were getting lost. Like you say, when we were onboarding associates, I needed to keep track of where their contracts were, like their agreements, and so you were uploading them into Asana, but I just felt like it was all getting away from me.
Yeah,
it was all over the place. And come on, VAs, we have about 50,000 tabs open anyway at any one given time, don't we? So then to have to go through them to figure out where's this, where's that, oh my God, I'm losing the plot. It's so time consuming. It's just a waste of effort and resources. And I kept looking and looking and looking for a system out there for virtual assistants. There must be, but there wasn't anything at all, was there? And we both looked and we just couldn't find anything. And then I did manage to find something that I thought could really work. And we call it our AMS, our account management system, don't we? And it has been a godsend. Like, we literally run the entire business through it. And all of our associates now have their calendars on there. So rather than clients booking calls in our associates' private calendars, they have to do it in our system. And it also means that we can automate the crap out of everything, and we do automate the crap out of everything. Our client onboarding, our associate onboarding, like literally everything is automated. And then when you do calls with clients, you do inquiry calls, they're all recorded, so we've got all of that overview. And I must admit, this wasn't intended to be a plug, but after 2 years of doing that, I thought, you know what? There must be other VAs that want this system, that need this system. And so that's what I spent time doing, and I launched it this year as a membership offer. So it's the Essentials Access. Anyone that joins either of those memberships gets this entire system with all of those you know, you get a website template, you get all of those, the task management, you get the social media scheduling, the email marketing, the CRM system, all of our things that we've built out, the client onboarding, the associate onboarding, all of that is in there. And I have not looked back, because I don't think I could have managed scaling without that system, to be honest with you.
And I think it's key to remember as well, when you are faffing between Calendly or, you know, Dropbox or, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different platforms, that's time you're not being paid for. So when you're faffing around trying to find something, if you've got one system where you can go for everything, you're saving yourself so much time, which is, you know, kind of projects onto the client that you're organized because everything is stored in one place.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, like, because our system's so automated, when a client comes on board, they automatically get sent the contract. We don't have to do any of that. Sorry, my dog's decided to choke next to me. We don't have to do any of that manually. And then when the client contract comes in, it's stored in their record. So if we need to do anything with that client, we just go to that client's record, we see their contract, we see any appointments, we see any notes, we see everything, any interaction we've ever had. And that's absolutely, you know, it's absolutely brilliant. I was going to come to something about, you know, I tried, one of the things I tried was Google were doing this. You could build like a website in Google. And I realised that there was a potential to make it into a client portal system. And so we tried that for a while as well, didn't we? But that didn't really work either, did it?
No, it was really like clunky and claggy, wasn't it? And it just, I think we tried so many different ways and means, didn't we, to try and make it more streamlined.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work, because we would, and it was, you know, as your assistant, I was doing the work, you were having to pay for my time. But doing all of that stuff, simple things like sending a contract was done manually, uploading the contract to their file, emails, messages, phone call, all of that time is spent booking people in, where if you just have one system, it's just all done in there.
Yeah. And I think what virtual assistants have to be really, really careful of is not investing in every single system because you think that you have to pay for it. Actually, a lot of the time, clients should be paying for it. And one of the clauses in our contracts is if you require specific software or licenses for a VA to work on your services, you have to provide it. And it's like Trello. It's very tempting to have your own Trello and then say, I'll create this board for you in your Trello account. But if you do that for every client, it's suddenly going to cost you a fortune. No, the client has to have Trello and they add you as a member. Same with Canva. Exactly. How many of VAs listening have fallen into that trap of accidentally giving away too much to clients and you're providing the software and services, systems to them rather than, you know, they provide it and they add you? Let me know in the comments or any issues you're having along these lines. I think when you start out, you feel like you have to give everything away.
I was literally just going to say that. And I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because you kind of go, right, I need absolutely everything. I need every system going. I need to subscribe, blah, blah, blah. And you've almost oversubscribed to stuff. You're paying out a fortune for God knows how many platforms that invariably they can do the same thing. But it's that thing, isn't it? Right, if I've got all the tools, now I can get all the clients. But it doesn't work like that. You almost need to get the client and figure out what you need. That's how I kind of became to using what I use now every day to support the clients that we work with.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And it's like Dropbox. Oh my God, I hate Dropbox, right? Because
I love Dropbox.
Flipping hate it. And the reason is I don't use it. And then clients say to me, I've sent you this Dropbox. But you have to pay to see what someone else has sent you. No, I'm not doing that. So I do say that if clients want to do that to me, I'm sorry, but you have to send it me another way. I'm not paying for it.
See, I do. That is one thing I pay for. It costs me $9.99 a month. And for me, it's just so much easier because everybody knows I hate technology, right? And for me, I was actually like, look at me, what I've done. I actually managed to set Dropbox up on my desktop, sync it with my laptop. So if I want to go downstairs and watch the telly while I'm working, like in the evening, it's all there. And I can just go. I know that sounds really stupid, but for me, that was like a massive milestone.
Oh my God, Kirsty. But you're right. I mean, look, I paid $9.99 a month for it for a while, but then it starts to creep up. That doesn't sound a lot. Then it's another thing. And I'm just like, you know what? No, I'm not paying to view somebody else's files, right? That's not happening. You've got to do it my way. So I know we always say we use the client's preferred method of contact. I'm more than happy to know whatever the client wants to do, but they're going to have to pay for it. There's no way a VA should be paying out of their pocket for working with a client. That's the ultimate thing. It should not cost you, apart from your overheads, more money to work with a new client. It should cost you what you're already paying.
I don't share my Dropbox with my clients. It's purely for me. There's only one client I share with because they send me images and stuff like that. But it's purely for me, because I find it really easy. If you're not technically minded like me, it's just a really easy system to get hold of. So that's why I choose to pay for it, because I know everything's there and it syncs with my laptop.
But you're a Microsoft girl, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you've got storage, you've got files there like Google Drive. Why are you
Don't complicate my brain.
Why are you duplicating? This is another thing. VAs duplicate what they've already got. One of the things I've got a free, actually, anyone that's part, I don't know if I put it in there, let me double check. Anyone that's part of our VA Vault, the free resources, free membership, or either of the other memberships, get in their resource area. I'm pretty confident is in there, an app audit template. In fact, everyone that joins the challenge, the day 4 of the challenge today, will get that. This is what we're going to be talking about. My app audit challenge helps you to just look at all of the apps and software you're using. Not challenge, sorry, app audit. It's like a sheet. Anyone that you look at all the software and the apps you're using, you write them all out, and it's like a matrix grid where you start to see where you're duplicating. And it's fascinating how often you will duplicate systems you've already got. Like, you've got Dropbox, but I can't understand why you're paying £10 a month for Dropbox. If you've got Microsoft account with file storage, it makes no sense to me.
Because I don't know how Microsoft storage works, that's why.
Oh my goodness. So isn't it worth finding out than paying all of that money? It's like
I wouldn't know. Yeah, no, I can't get on with Google Drive. It confuses me.
Why does it confuse you?
I don't know. Because I'm very set. See, this is one of the problems that VAs come across, isn't it? Because you're so used to using one system that it's like, well, it's all set up now. I can't be bothered to change it. I don't really know. OneDrive does my head in. Like, I can never find anything in there. I've tried to use it, but I can't. And it's just like familiar to me to use Dropbox. But I know what you mean. Like, if you don't investigate these things, then you'll never know how you can save money.
Exactly. So let me just do this quick calculation, Kirsty. You're paying £119.88 per year for Dropbox. Let's say, how long have you been a VA?
4 years.
Okay, let's say you're going to pay that another 4 years. That's £479.52. But what you could do is invest in a Microsoft expert and have an hour of their time to either set it up for you or just, do it with you. And that's it, one-off cost. These are the kind of things that you don't think about.
Exactly. This is the thing. I would never have thought of that because I wouldn't have known about it.
Yeah, I met a Microsoft expert yesterday, so if you need some help, let me know. If you need a referral, I'll send him your way. But these are the things, the deeper level things we don't think about when we start our virtual assistant business. You think, right, okay, this is normally the thought process, and correct me if you want, if you think I'm wrong. It's normally, I need a website. How do I get clients? Where are they? And then, what systems can I use? But none of it is thought out in a strategic way. So if I counter that, number one, you don't need a website. Forget your website. It's a load of crap, right? You do not need a website as a virtual assistant. That can come later. This is why, unless you're paying thousands of pounds in Google Ads, no one's going to ever find your website anyway, right? Your website is not a place where you will be found. It's a place you will send people to so that they can see your services. Do you need a website for that? When you could just create something in Canva. I had a lady on what channel? I think it was TikTok. It might have been Instagram. She sent me, look, it was lovely. She said, look, this is what I can do. I thought it was a great pitch, to be honest. This is what I can do, and I'd be really interested in working with you. Here's my, and it was like a presentation, like a portfolio. And it was just one of those website ones that you can create in Canva. and the link to it, and I could scroll through. I went through, had a look at everything she could do. She'd done a really good job. That's it. You know, there's no website involved. I had all the information I needed about that person from there. All you need are 2 links. You need something like that, your Canva presentation telling me about you and your pricing, and you need your book a call link. That's it. Yeah. And then your software, your systems that you'll need, your time system, your task management system. That's really, you know, about it, because everything else will come from the client. So if the client comes to you and they say, well, I prefer using Trello, great, get Trello then and put me on it. And you'll probably need Canva if you're doing socials as well. Would you disagree or agree with that?
I completely agree. I don't have a website. And that was my first thing. I thought, right, when I started, I thought, I'm going to be a VA. This is what I want to do. Right, I need to do a website. And 4 years in, I'm at capacity and I don't have a website because I don't need one, quite frankly, because, you know, clients that come to me, they direct message me through LinkedIn. You know, they'll come off of a referral or a testimonial or whatever. So they'll just message me. I send them the book a call link and they book a call, and that's it.
That's it. Fantastic.
No faff, no frills, no crap. Just book a call. Let's just talk like people are supposed to talk.
Well, if you think about this logically, the reason clients are coming to us is they've got no time, and you're going to give them your website link to go and ask them to put time on it. No, just send them your bloody prices, because that's all they really want to know. Yink Ollie has said, I am thinking of becoming a VA, but I don't know where to start. Now, look, what I would say is what we've just said. Don't worry about a website. If you've got Canva, even on the free Canva, you can do this. If you go to the website templates, you can just create an informative kind of presentation about you, who you are, what you're offering. So if you're not sure what to offer, think about your hobbies, things you really enjoy. Think about things that you're passionate about. Think about your past experience, any qualifications, and start to think about, well, what can I bring to the table that's going to make me different? You could be a tech VA. You might be, you know, it might be just admin. It could be that you've come from a background, a particular, you know, industry. And then think about your niche. Okay, now that I know what I want to do and the kind of people, you know, the kind of area I want to go into, then you'll be able to think about your client base. So now you've got a niche, you'll understand who your ideal client is. And based on that, you will then go to the right platform. If I give you this analogy, if you were somebody who previously worked in the aesthetics industry, like beauty and aesthetics, and you understand how complex that is for people in that industry to run their businesses because they're so time poor, then you would probably focus on Instagram and TikTok because that's where they're going to be. If you want to work mainly with corporates, then you're going to be on LinkedIn. But you need to know first what your niche is. Then you've got your website thing that you've created in Canva and your Calendly link. So you just need something like Acuity or Calendly. It doesn't cost anything to have one link to book a call. That's all you need to get started. To get clients, there's so many ways. I think people think there aren't, but it really is about starting to put yourself out there on socials, being really consistent with it, going out networking. If you're following me on the Instagram page that you're commenting on, if you keep watching, or get on my mailing list, go to morethanava.org. I have got a 20 ways to get clients cheat sheet coming out next week. So that's going to be really helpful. And I must admit, as I was writing it, I just kept thinking of more and more. I thought, I'm just going to stop at 20 because this is going to get a bit overwhelming. So that's what I would do. And then we've had a question on TikTok from Pretty Virtual Assistant. She's got Google Drive. Google Drive is best for you. Brilliant. And Miriam, hi, help me from Zimbabwe. I need help. I can't help you write a CV. If you go onto Canva, you're going to be able to see templates on there and you're going to be able to fashion your CV on that. But I would not create a CV to be a virtual assistant. Like literally, you're not applying for a job. Nobody cares about your CV. Do what I've just said. Go into Canva, create a presentation about who you are and what you do and the skills that you've got. Pretty said she's still using Canva after 4 years for free as a VA. Well, I think that's pretty incredible because, you know, I'm going to have to pay for it. So well done you. And Oblesso said, first time here. So thank you for your, you know, for visiting. Please, guys, gift me on TikTok. I would really appreciate it, because then I'll keep showing up and doing these lives for you.
How do you do it? Is it a present at the bottom?
Yeah, little present at the bottom. And then we've got a bless I am new VA. I need help on how to start my VA journey. I've just obviously given some advice on how you can start your VA journey. But what I would say is head to the link in bio, join my free membership, and you'll get loads of resources in there, including your client contract, AI agreement policies, all of those kind of things. No problem. Okay, Kirsty, so I've lost the thread of where we were now. There was a lot of questions there. Yeah, so I think VAs overcomplicate it, and then the focus is how do I get clients? The focus should be what is important to me from a freedom perspective. Like, what do I want my life to look like? And right now in the more work less challenge that we're doing, and if you hadn't joined, it's too late, I'm sorry, you can join the next one in December. Then what we do is we strip it back and we focus on, okay, what do you want your dream schedule to look like? You put into your blank calendar things like picking the kids up from school, going to the gym, meeting your friend for coffee on Friday, because you've done that for the last 20 years. And those are your non-negotiables. You put them in your calendar, and then you say, this is what I've got left. Now, when you work out what you've got left, we do the next thing, which is the income gap calculator. Well, what are you missing? How much money are you missing? And I think Gemma just realised she needed to increase from £30 now to 45 in order to get to her goal. Then we look at diversifying your offer. So look at what you're currently offering and how can you repackage it? How can you change things up? I'll give you an example. How many VAs, please let me know, give me a thumbs up, offer an inbox cleanup service? Do you, Kirsty, did you offer one of those when you started?
I do.
You do? No? How many have you sold?
None.
None. None. And so do we. Never sold a single one. So look at things like that and think, okay, how can I offer this in a different way? I know, I'll turn it into a simple video tutorial and sell that instead. I'm not going to bother selling the package. I'll sell a video tutorial that people can buy and they can go clean their own inboxes. Because if no one's buying it, there's not a demand for it, but it is still a need, because we have had people come and ask us for that within their normal packages. So I know we've gone off on the tools and must-haves, but it is about thinking, it is about that. And going back to the tools and must-haves, do not fall into the trap of paying more to secure a client. Once you've got your initial tools, it shouldn't cost you any more than that. So if a client comes on board and more tools are needed, that's because they need them. Your next client might not, so they should pay for them. So things like, I don't think Skype's even a thing anymore, but it was things like, you know, you shouldn't pay for phone calls if client wants you to make phone calls. What we do is we offer a telephone answering service, but also if clients want us to do calls, then they have to buy this package. And we just use, what's the website called, Kirsty?
VoIP.
Yeah, VoIP. We just use VoIP. It's like a VoIP phone thing. It's really simple. They have to pay for that package. We don't make any money on that. We make money on the time it takes, don't we, to actually do the work. So always make sure you're being really confident and saying, yes, that's no problem, but you will need to buy that thing. You will need to pay for that system, or give me the login to yours if they don't want to add more users.
I think it's go on.
No, go on.
I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because when you start out, when we've touched on this so many times, having the confidence to say things like that, it's really difficult to be able to say that. But I think because your headspace is, I've got to get clients, I don't care, I'll pay for that bit, you know, and as you say, that next client might not need that. But you've got to be, from day one, stand for what you're going to be working for throughout your journey, because it's very easy to say, well, I'll just do this one, or I'll just pay for this one, or I'll just do this, blah, blah, blah. But if you're strong enough to say it to one, you'll be strong enough to say it to all. So just have a little bit of inner confidence and just say it straight out.
Yeah, 100%. One of the missing things that you need is a password manager as well.
Yes.
Because you have to remember that you are working with clients' data. They're sharing logins and passwords with you. I saw somebody advertising on TikTok one of these password books. Oh my God, please don't ever buy one of those. That is ridiculous, to be writing down passwords and keeping them on paper. We use 1Password, and it's fantastic because you have vaults. I have a vault for each client, and in that vault is all their passwords. And it's like you've got an extension, so when you go to log in, it just automatically comes up. But also, I can then share vaults with my associates if needed as well. So I always say, look, the onus is on the client at the end of the day. If you say to the client, we prefer you to use a password manager, this is what we recommend. If they don't, then that's not your fault. You can't enforce it as long as they understand that, and that's in your client terms and conditions. But if you do have to share stuff and they're not willing to do a password manager, then make sure it's on WhatsApp because it's encrypted and not on email. You don't want to be liable, and don't use LastPass because LastPass is full of data breaches. It's one of the worst password managers you can ever think of. I've got a few people on TikTok joining. Hello, thank you so much for being here. Just so you know, we also do a live every Monday at 3 p.m. UK time as well. So come along to that. It's not this one. It's not the VA Live Lounge. It's me giving you advice and talking about things that's going to help you in your business. If you're on Instagram and you're not on my TikTok, then go take a look. I'm just going to drop what that is in the comments. And what else would you advise, Kirsty, for VAs starting out and trying to fathom, the right tools and the right systems that we might not have mentioned here that you might not have thought of?
So when I first started, the one thing I did was I went out and bought a desktop, which was a mistake.
Yes.
Now I have invested recently this year in a laptop purely because we work at home. Sometimes it's difficult to split home and work life, and sometimes it's easy just to say, right, I just want a different environment. You can pop to Costa or have a coffee or whatever, and it just gives you a bit more freedom to move around a little bit more. Because when I had the desktop, I was stuck to the desktop. I didn't have the freedom of at night. My partner works funny shifts. I sit downstairs. I couldn't just pop onto my laptop and do a little bit of work, or I couldn't just pop round to my dad's and see him and do a little bit of work. The freedom you have when you've got a laptop will just open up so much for you. So my best advice is if you're thinking about what you're buying, it doesn't have to spend thousands and thousands on a laptop. I think mine was like 300 quid. And it was the best investment I've ever made because it just gives me that freedom of being able to move around a lot more.
Yeah, Kirsty used to say to me, like, she'd sometimes want to change her pace, like where she was, or she was on the train, and I'd be like, well, where's your laptop? And I was absolutely gobsmacked that she didn't have one. And I don't know how any VA can run a business without a laptop. Just while we're here, we've got a bless her, just saying, sorry, there's a bit of feedback, a #1 fan on the fan club. So thank you for joining the fan club on TikTok. And Precious has said she's just started up as a VA, so you're in the right place. Is all I can say to that. That's brilliant. And also, I love to travel. So I am like a massive traveller, and I spent 5 months touring Southeast Asia. And I knew that I would have to work sometimes whilst hiking a mountain or whatever. So I bought an iPad mini, and then I brought one of those covers that comes with the keyboard and everything, so you can prop it up and it becomes a mini computer. It was the best investment I ever made. I literally would be sitting in the back of a taxi in Phuket, going off to a temple, doing some work in the back because I could hotspot, and you cannot actually believe the places I worked on that iPad mini because I didn't want to take a big laptop out with me. I could just put it in my little handbag. So I would definitely say if you were a traveling VA, like you want to be a nomad, that's a great investment as well to have. So you're not stuck out. I've got to get back for a certain time.
Yeah.
The other thing to make sure that you have is a work phone.
I was just going to say that.
How many times we made this? I only got a work phone last year, believe it or not. And if you get a nightmare client and they know your phone number, guess what's going to happen when you get rid of them? They're going to come back. I've got one that keeps coming back like a rash. This nightmare client.
Again? Bugger off.
Twice since we talked about it. And it's like, leave me alone. I've had my phone number now for, well over 20 years. So I don't want to change it. So I've now got a WhatsApp a different phone, and then I can have a WhatsApp on there. Because the other thing is, you've got to protect your boundaries, and you can't be overwhelmed with all of these notifications all of the time. So at least if you're splitting some of that on another phone, it's going to make your life a little bit, more bearable, isn't it? To make sure that you're using systems and software that aren't going to be constantly pinging off and you feeling like you have to answer them.
Do you know what though? I am terrible. I am so bad. And please learn from this. So I don't have a work phone.
Oh.
And I know I'm a really crap advisory person here. What is going on? And at the weekends, it's just natural for me to open my phone and naturally click on WhatsApp and then email. I do it literally without thinking. And because I'm very much a message for a message person, I'll just go, just quickly do this. Like last night, I've got a client I work with, and I love working with them. They're so lovely. And they had a problem with an order that we'd placed. And I opened my phone. Oh, crap. So I was like, I'm going to have to do it because I can't leave them in the lurch. So I came upstairs, did a little bit of work, sorted it all out. It was only like 20 minutes. But don't make that mistake like I do. I do it all the time. Like I'm seriously bad at it. Get a work phone because you can just switch it off. And remember why you're doing this. You're doing this for that work-life balance, because if you don't have a work phone, you're constantly going to be checking. It's just natural for you to press. It's like when you've got games or whatever on your phone. It's just natural for you to press those two apps. So definitely invest. Laptop, work phone.
That's really good advice, because you're right. And I'm amazed. I'm not amazed you're still making that mistake, because you're such a giving person. But I said to clients, look, this is part of where the confidence comes into how you communicate with your clients. I said, look, you feel free to send me a WhatsApp, but I'm not going to respond to it until I'm in my working hours. And they often do. And with the caveat, I don't expect you to answer this now, because they just need to brain dump and get it out their head. Yeah. But the problem is, like what you're saying, is when that's on your phone that you use day to day, you feel like it's on your mind then that there's a notification. Yeah. It's quite psychological. So having a second phone that is switched off, you're not thinking about it because you don't know it's there. You can have a different voicemail going out then saying, sorry, we're closed right now. I mean, one of the brilliant things about our software that we use for our membership and for us is that we do have a missed call text back. So what happens is, if we buy a number, it's about £1 something. If somebody then contacts us, like calls us, and we miss it, it automatically texts them back and initiates a conversation. And you can put AI agents in there as well. And we've just invested in WhatsApp Business, but we don't actually need WhatsApp Business on a physical phone. So it's all done through the system, isn't it? And now we've got this new chat channel where people can just come and chat to us on WhatsApp, and they automatically, through automation, get told that we're closed, and we'll come back to you when we're open. And so it is about protecting your boundaries. So this is a question just before we leave. Precious has asked, she's struggling with professional communication with CEO meetings. Any advice on that? Does that mean CEOs that you're already working with, or does it mean you're struggling to communicate with CEOs that you want to work with? Can you just let us know what you mean by that? And then I'm a lecturer in health education and promotion. How can I leverage my knowledge in health as a VA? So I would just literally be niching into the healthcare world. I would not be trying to offer your services anywhere else. So I'm not sure, health education, I'm not quite sure about your industry, but what I would be going down the path of is creating, for example, if you're a lecturer, you could be creating talks, you could be creating create opportunities, speak to people in that industry, the kind of people that would also be doing what you'd like healthcare organisations, and say, look, this is what I do, this is what I'm experienced in. I'd love to be able to come and help you give webinars or talks on this topic or that topic. I can create them for you, I can deliver them. You could create graphics, posters on that kind of thing as well. You might even want to communicate with people who are currently running their own businesses lecturing, and offer them, say, look, I also have done what you're doing, and so I understand how difficult it is to get your papers together, your notes. Why don't I help you with that? Why don't I create your slideshows? So it is about, you're going to have to think about, your kind of industry and who you would need to speak to, but then think about, well, what services could I offer, put yourself in their position, like you're a lecturer in health education and promotion. What do you struggle with? What are you struggling with? What would you love to be able to delegate to someone else and get that delegated to you? So start having conversations with people, and I think you're going to find those people on LinkedIn primarily. Sace has asked what niche is currently the most in demand. Okay, there isn't a niche that's currently most in demand, but there is actually. I've got to find this. Bear with me, Kirsty, you fill the gap. I'm just going to have a quick look. I actually sent out in my newsletter niches that were in demand at the moment. And I'm just going to go quickly find it because I think it was 2 newsletters ago. This is the thing. If you join my newsletter, guys, on morethanava.org, all you got to do is join up the free resources and you automatically get on the newsletter list. In my weekly newsletter, you get industry insights. So you're going to see what's currently happening in the VA world. This is what you need to be aware of. So it's well worth joining. Kirsty, you can do some rambling on top tools. What top tools, Kirsty, do you think that VA is most used? We work with associates. What are they using?
So I would say the top 3 would be your...
Still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I would say the top 3 that I use on a daily basis would be my Trello board, Canva, and I use a different CRM, but it is a white label of what we use. So I do use a good CRM system as well, and it's really good to have that in place. You know, when you're working with clients. We've had a few questions in. Precious, I am in HR by profession. Which niche do you think is best for me currently? HR is a bit of a Pandora's box, isn't it? Because of things like contracts, and even we had a client inquire with us a couple of weeks ago about doing an interview process for them. They were looking to recruit for their business, and they asked us to do some research across LinkedIn to try and find candidates to target or to speak to about the opportunity they had within their business. So that's something that you could do. You could offer a contract service, even to the point of being, you know, involved in disciplinaries, things like that. So I think that's quite a good, and HR is a really good one. There's quite a lot of HR businesses that will look for a HR VA as well. So I would definitely niche on that.
Yeah, the person asked a question about the current niches. Would you DM me and I'll send you that over, because I think I've got about 50,000 tabs open, and trying to find that as well is causing an issue with the Wi-Fi. And for the HR one, I would say yes, you should definitely niche into a HR VA. Because I'll tell you something, I got asked this the other day. So I post in Facebook groups, and somebody asked me, could you do client contracts? And I said, no, because I can't do a client contract. Now, I'm not sure if you can, but if you can do things that VAs can't do from like a legal standpoint, because you've got that kind of background, then you're already one step ahead, because you can offer something that regular VAs can't offer. And I would also approach HR freelancers and ask them if there's an opportunity for you to help them. Let's say they've got to be creating documents and they're creating contracts for clients. I am sure they would love to be able to outsource that to a VA that they feel secure in the knowledge, knows what they're talking about, because they've got a HR background. I think one of the things that would stop HR freelancers from working with a VA and asking them to help with that is that they'd be nervous that they don't know what they're doing. So I would definitely do that. And there's so many HR freelancers. Like, get yourself networking, because every time I network, there are HR freelancers out there. And yesterday I was at an exhibition and there was a stand, and that's what they do, HR. A lot of them are leaving their jobs because it's becoming a toxic environment, and they're starting up on their own. So as well as Kirsty's great advice, I would also suggest doing that as well. And then we've got yes, the one I work with and their clients. I'm an executive VA, so I deal with CEOs most of the time. Is this just communication? Is it language, or is it communication in the respect of you're not getting a response from them. Because if that's the case, welcome to the VA world. It's very difficult sometimes to get clients to bother to respond to you. I'm not going to be able to answer loads more questions because we do have to finish. I have got my challenge shortly. But anything else that you can think of, then just drop me a private message and I'll be more than happy to voice note you back. That's becoming more and more popular at the moment. It's happening every day. And get on to look, we've got our free membership. You don't get the software with that. But if you join the growth membership or the VIP access, which opens on Monday, and if you get on the waiting list now, then you get some extra bonuses for courses to build your business. You're going to get so much value from that. You're going to get this entire software and system. You're going to get my knowledge, and you're going to get monthly masterclasses from people that are going to help you build your business. So it depends on where you are and how serious you are about your VA journey, but that's what I would recommend. So we do have to end there, but I've absolutely loved today because we've had so many people coming on and so many questions, particularly on TikTok, because this is the first time we've done the VA Live Lounge on TikTok. Just to give you some background of the VA Live Lounge, this is a weekly live that will come out every single Friday at 10 o'clock. And then 1 week later, it's repurposed as a podcast. If you go to morethanava.org/podcast or link in the bio, you'll see all of our past podcast episodes, and they're well worth listening to because they're full of advice: how to get clients, how to be paid up front, all of these kind of things. And you can also listen on, Spotify, Apple, all the good channels. Just look for the VA Live Lounge. Thank you again. Pretty said, no, it's the communication, not the language. Look, it is difficult, but you need to be a bit more assertive and take the lead if you're working with CEOs. We do have this with clients where they're not very responsive. And this is where we have to get quite firm with them and say, look, I've not heard back from you. I really do need a response. If I don't have this response by so-and-so, I'm not going to be able to do this project. And you've got to be quite assertive in that way and proactive. And then make sure you're tracking those conversations. Make sure there's somewhere that you can record them, because if they come back then and accuse you of not completing any work, you can say, look, I tried multiple times to contact you. Sorry that we've got to end there, but we are over the time now. Kirsty, do you want to say anything before we finish?
No, I just think just on that, look, on the CEO communication, look, if once you've said it, they will respect you more for for guiding them, because essentially that's what you're there for. And I think we get confused with VAs we are assistants, but they're reaching out for you for direction on how to move forward. So just be really positive, be really confident, and it will be more beneficial to you in the long run.
Absolutely brilliant. I love that. Thanks, Kirsty. Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you next week. If you want to listen to last week's episode of the VA Live Lounge, where we talked about how to make yourself visible as a VA, then head to the link in the bio, listen to the past episode, or head to our Instagram channel where you can play it back. Goodbye.